What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. All right, it is the 12th day of May today. Here we are, 9 hours, 22 minutes left in the day, down 0.8%, nothing too crazy. It's a little bit different than what we expected the day to open up like, right? I mean, the SPX, S&P 500 did open up to the upside here. We had a nice little 2% pump. That's good, and I'm very surprised that Bitcoin's not moving up with it. But that's fine. You know, we'll catch up. We'll catch up and then some in no time at all. The trade agreement that was had by China and the United States. Let's see if I can just pull it up, not using Grok. Let's actually find the real data. Chinese American trade deal. We'll just say that. I mean, I read it. I could probably just recite it off the top of my head if I wanted to, but let's see. Yeah. 30%, 10%, the tariffs are dropped for 90 days, right? It's on a 90-day pause, and probably, assuming that nothing crazy happens over the next 90 days, I would assume that over the next 90 days there will be talks of the tariffs going away completely or entirely, especially because the United States, even with this agreement, still maintains a 30% tariff while the Chinese maintain a 10% tariff. 30% tariff on Chinese goods, 10% tariff on American goods. We have the upper hand here in the United States. So I think that if we wanted to just drop the tariffs all entirely completely, I think China would be game for that as well. But I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell, you know. I think that this is a big deal, and I think that this is going to be relatively significant in the days to come, in the weeks to come, right? This is going to help the price move up. You know, not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I don't think that this in itself is the exact catalyst that we're looking for to send us to new all-time highs and send Bitcoin to $1 million, right? It's not this. This is not a catalyst alone. It was a big fluff piece. It's a big story that is a big deal to a lot of people. But the reality of the matter is, guys, it wasn't really a big deal whenever it happened on February 3rd, right? Whenever we announced it, there's been tariffs on China since February 3rd. And it's been escalating that whole time, right? And we've been pumping even throughout the escalations. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think it has anything to do with Bitcoin, but I do think that it's nice to see, right? And that definitely does imply that economic tensions and at least trade tensions are chilling with these two very big players. So that can provide certainty and clarity for investors, and maybe even the Fed to start dropping interest rates, to start lowering interest rates, because this is something that they've been saying that they were looking for, is a little bit of clarity as far as will these tariffs last or will they not last. And you know, I can only assume that even though it's a 90-day pause, that during the next FOMC meeting, Jerome Powell will probably say there's still no clarity as to if these tariffs are going to calm down or not. You know, a 90-day pause doesn't provide clarity. Like I'm sure he's going to milk whatever he can to not drop these interest rates for as long as possible. It seems like there's a point to be made here, but I think that they will drop inevitably. I think that will be a big deal. Money supply coming in, interest rates dropping, quantitative easing, money printer goes brrr, you know, like it's that kind of situation that'll be very significant. While it is nice that we do have a little less tension now between China and America, I think that the reason why we're not pumping today is because exactly what I was saying, man. It's probably actually not that significant. It's maybe not as significant as we had assumed, and it makes sense that it would not be that significant. But nonetheless, at least it won't be getting in our way to higher prices. With or without this trade agreement, Bitcoin was going to new all-time highs. That's a fact. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Daily RSI here cooling off a little bit. Looking like we are going to get that red day after all. Maybe we are consolidating still. If we're not going to pump on this kind of news event, look at that. We dropped all the way down to about 102K. I should have stuck with my call, guys. We're going to consolidate and move sideways for a little bit. I don't know how long it's going to be. Daily time frame here. We did it, you know, last time. Let's see here. From when we started essentially to where we started picking it up and going out. I would say that we started moving up like 14 days later, right? So 2 weeks that we were consolidating. Here on this one, it was 10 days, or on the 10th day. It was 9 days, but including this day, it would be 10 days. So on the 10th day, or 9 days from the beginning point, that's whenever we started moving up. So something in between that area here, right? If we started here, we're on our 4th day now. I would think something between the 17th, so later this week, or most likely something early next week before Bitcoin starts moving up again. Maybe it is later this week. It could be a shorter time of consolidation than the other two. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I feel like it'd be easier to deduce that we would see a a longer consolidation, something that's like this, or even longer than that, because if they're getting longer, it'd be easier to deduce that that's happening. Like maybe this is what's being programmed into our minds, is that it'll be a longer consolidation phase, and that's exactly why it might be the perfect setup to see a shorter consolidation phase. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? You go against herd mentality. Oftentimes, contrarianism is a big factor in markets, you guys, and I wonder if the market's being primed to accept another week or so of consolidation. If we're looking at it like this, I think that'd be easy to deduce, but what would not be easy to deduce is a shorter term consolidation. And I think that makes actually a lot of sense, because all we have to do is get this RSI out of the overbought zone. We don't have to go to the 60. We don't have to go below this low. We don't have to go to the 50. Any and all of those things can happen. And if we do, that's great. The more we cool off, the better. The bigger the run will be afterwards. But I'm assuming we'll just get a little taste outside the overbought zone. We'll probably see a higher low than this, and then maybe we don't even get out of the overbought zone. Maybe we bounce right off of it, but something like that, and then we'll move up in a shorter amount of time than 14 or 9 days. But we'll see. We'll see. We're on day 4 right now, so we got a little bit of time at least. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame and go from there. I don't know how much sense all that made, but just essentially using contrarianism as the guide, my expectation would be that this consolidation phase might actually be shorter than the last one, if not both of them. Does that make sense? 1 hour RSI looks pretty sad. It looks very sad. You look like you're at a place where you're going to bounce from the 1 hour RSI, right? You've got these lower. Well, I can't draw. I'm straight lined challenged. I can't. I don't know. What the right word would be for there, but I literally can't. I literally can't draw a straight line to save my life. If we use a straight line, right there, I can do a straight line if it's fast, like, phew, and even then, it still curves at the end. And then I can't control where it is. But anyways, you can see the Radon area that we'd bounce from. It's also right at the 40, so that's a nice area to bounce from as well. Even if we continue to progress lower, even if we see resistance to something like this, as we are going down, as we have progressively been seeing lower lows, we have progressively been seeing higher lows as well. This low on the wicking basis doesn't count. That's not a low as far as the RSI is concerned. This is the low. It goes by closing prices, not by wicking prices. So I think this was a shakeout. I think something like that was a shakeout to scare people. It happened during this hour, probably right around whenever the stock market opens for a reason. We had a pump going into the beginning of the stock market opening up, and then just a quick dump, a little shakeout, probably to scare some people, make people exit their positions or get into the wrong positions. And whenever that happens enough, that's whenever we're ready to go, right? Looking at the 4 hour time frame, also same kind of concept here. You're just cooling off. You're cooling way the hell off, and you've got higher lows the whole way through. You're right at the 50. You're right at the 50 on the 4 hour, right on the 40 on the 1 hour. This 4 hour just opened though, didn't it? Yeah, you got 1 hour and 14 minutes left actually to close. So we'll see how it goes. But if you could close here or a little bit lower the next hour, as long as you don't move, I think you're in a good position to bounce. But whatever, man, go move up from here. Move up from here. You'll still bounce right off of this like 55 area, and that's fine as well. But I think if you could close this 4 hour candle red like this or lower in the next hour and 14 minutes, that actually would give you a good look to bounce off the 50 there. But regardless, you don't need that. You can still move up higher, and you'll probably just consolidate a little bit more time, right? We'll see. My expectation or my hope is that we get this done with in a short amount of time, that on a daily aspect, the RSI can at least cool off and get out of the overbought zone. If we do move up here right now, if we have a green day today, let's say we flip the script and we flip today green, that would flip the screen right here. It would be nice for immediate growth. We would get some immediate growth, but I think the move would be lesser, right? If we cool off right now, if we can get out of the overbought zone or at least to it, cool off a little bit, just a little bit, nothing crazy. I'm not talking about going below 100K. I'm not talking about a cool off like this. If we could cool off a little bit, I think the move afterwards would be bigger. That's all I'm trying to say. But if not, still, 109K, 110K, 115K, somewhere in that area, that's probably where we're going to go if we continue to grow. But if we can consolidate a little bit more, if we can cool this RSI off, I think that we would have higher aspirations in mind. But time will tell. Looking at the 4 hour again. Overall, just very dominant, very, very bullish. Downtrend here, I wouldn't say so much that we're in a downtrend now. It feels more kind of like this, where like you're coming down, looking to bounce off of this area. Let's see. Do we have another example of what I'm trying to find here? No, not really. Not really. That's okay. We haven't really had any examples of this kind of behavior though, you know, back in this kind of area, so that makes sense. Daily time frame here, looking at this, when we do go higher, let's just say this. Let's go here. If we put resistance right at the top that we have right now, you can see that oftentimes for Bitcoin, you actually do go above this line. Sometimes you stop below it, of course. You know, that happens. Maybe I should even say oftentimes you stop below this line, but there's a good bit of the time where you go above it. Let's identify those times right now. Let's see. All these times right here. And I'm not going to do the second attempts above the line. I'm just going to get the initial attempt just so that we can gauge the move relative to that, okay? So the movement here that we saw, the very first one, let's see. That was a very glorious move, and we continued to move up for quite some time. I don't know how much that move was overall. It was like 54%, right? 50-something percent. 40%. Over here it'd be like 54%, but like 40-something percent in a very, very short amount of time, right? And you continue to grow afterwards. A little bit of volatility consolidated from there, but basically a 40% move. Here, what you saw getting you up to those levels from a low to a high was about a 32% move, but you progressed higher relatively like immediately, just consistently, and you saw a 70% move overall. I would say that's a bit appropriate right there. Right here, low to high right there, that was a 37% move, and you proceeded higher to 90%. And then here, whenever you were at that high, that was also at 30%. Okay, that's interesting. Every time that we hit these levels, every single time it's been 30% right at the line. Let me guess, 30%, 30 to 36% here from a low. That was not the low though. A little bit more bullish that time. I think it was like 40%. Wow, yeah, 40% pump right there. We continued to run overall 61%. Okay, so I'm not saying that that's what we have here now, right? What we have here now is something more akin to like a move like this or like this. We don't actually have anything that's akin to this that we've seen so far. Maybe this, right? Something like this, where we're just figuring ourselves out. But then that movement up, I think it would be measured from this next low potentially, or maybe, I don't know how it would be considered. I mean, if we took it from this low, that just doesn't work. So we're already up over 37%. We're not in that area there. So I would say, you know, if we take this into consideration the same way, if we cool off a little bit, perhaps what we're due for is something on the lines of a 30 to a 40% move rather immediately, which makes sense because I'm expecting that by the end of the month of May, we would see something on the lines of about like 130 to 140K, and that lines up pretty well with that area there, and then progressively continuing to climb in the month of June to about 170 to 180K, which overall would produce like a 66 to a 74% move, and that's actually right within this range of what we've seen so far. That makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know, that was kind of convoluted what we just did there, but it actually worked out and it all makes sense. Whether that's a coincidence or it's meant to be, I think it agrees with the same areas that we've been looking for. Looking at a high here to a low, and I didn't have that planned out. I didn't know, you know, I mean, I can do math, but I didn't do the quick math on that to figure out what a 40% to 80% growth would be there. High to low 2272. If we were to get to the 2272, that's 170K, and likely you go just above that. With the 2272, you don't stop right at it most of the time. You don't stop just below it most of the time. Most of the time you do go just above it. So I would say 170 to 180K sounds about right there. If you go to the weekly time frame, you're looking at the all-time high from last bull cycle. Come on now. Oh, no. Come on now. You know you want to. All-time high to the low of the bear market right there, yeah. The 1618's at 171K, and oftentimes Bitcoin does wick just above that as well. So I would say 170 to 180K is in the bag. All we got to do is wait at this point. Trade agreement or not, it's happening. It's been foretold. End of June, early July, that's when it's happening. I got nothing else for you guys. I do expect, as of now, only because we're down like this today, only because today did not act the way that we thought it would on this bullish news, and that's fine. Oftentimes you do sell the news, so it makes sense. I'm not worried about it at all. But this might conform more to that original thought that we had, which is that we just consolidate a little bit further. Maybe this week is a week for consolidation for Bitcoin and a week of growth for altcoins, and that makes sense. BTC.D dropping down a little bit. So Bitcoin's dropping today. It's down 1.2%, but the dominance is down. That means it's either dropping harder than the average altcoin, which technically is true, or altcoins are moving up today while Bitcoin's consolidating. And that happens oftentimes whenever we're in these phases like this, right? Bitcoin moves up, and then whenever it consolidates, that's when altcoins run. Bitcoin moves up, then whenever it consolidates, that's when altcoins run. Not every single time, but kind of. That's the expectation. I got nothing else for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye. Don't mind the hair.